Hello, fellow travelers. I'm Veronica from Human Design Journey, and I'm here to look at the daily and weekly transit. Uh, so let's look at it. So the sun entered on Monday into the 36th gate, the gate of crisis, darkening of the light, and the earth in the 6th gate, the gate of conflict, the gate of friction. Quite emotionally charged week, also because until yesterday we had active also the 22nd gate and the whole channel of openness. Bringing us emotional definition and thus possibility to act emotionally charged with emotionally charged energy. So, and also defining almost the entire stream of emoting and emotional expressiveness. But as from today, actually, the Mercury moved, so it was about what we were here to communicate. So Mercury moved to the 36th gate, which actually gives us 3 times the 36th gate defined. So a lot of crisis going on and possibility for progress, of course. Or emotional chaos as well. The interesting thing is that Venus moved into the 3rd gate on Tuesday, which made the channel of mutation. Since we have the Pluto in the 60th gate till year 2025, it's one of the slow-moving planets. Takes 284 years to move to a different gate. So we have the channel of mutation, which gives us actually a generator. So it's a generator day, generator actually week until Saturday. And all the non-sacral folks should be aware to not overwork themselves, to overstimulate themselves, to not knowing when to stop, not knowing when enough is enough in every sphere of life, of course. A lot of partying can be going on for non-sacral people who think now is the time. You might feel a lot of energy come for things to be done, but it's up to your strategy and authority, guys, because it's very emotionally charged week, and you should be aware not to be spontaneous and under the pressure to change and to get rid of limitations. And this is a format channel, and it's part of the individual circuit. So there is a lot of melancholy in the air. Could be even the feeling of depression, stagnation, stuckness when nothing new is happening. And it's a pulse mechanism. So mutation, it comes on pulses. It's at one moment it's there, the next moment it's not, and the other way around. One moment it's not there, and the next moment something changed, moved, happened, mutated, innovated. So there is a lot of pressure and potential for change and pressure for doing, pressure for being busy, for a lot for sexuality and for fertility even. So it's very busily charged energy. And if we look at the channel of mutation, so it's basically a very powerful, deep influence with individual knowing or not knowing. At one moment you know, and the next moment you don't know. But here we have the gate of limitation connected to the gate of order. And this channel has the physical ability to impose new limits or remove old ones. And in this way, creating radically different order and empowering. Empowering others mutatively, empowering them to be the freak they are, and to let themselves be a freak. Let's put it this way, because depends on the concrete design, of course, but we have here a very individual, freakish, strange, different, empowering or not energy. So whenever a person steps into your aura and they're physically changing your frequency. So here we have actually the transit field literally changing the frequency of the whole world, mutating it. So being empowered mutatively isn't necessarily good, especially if you're living the not-self life. So there is nothing more depressing than being potentially mutative and nothing happens. So this can empower your depression, that nothing changes, nothing happens. And it's a heavy energy in the air. And people can just feel out of nowhere depressed, literally. But it's a pulse mechanism. So it's on and off and on and off. So it can come and go, this frequency. So the knowing circuit is mutation without notice. It can change at any moment. And it doesn't work from 9 to 5. It's nothing you can force. And it's basically an accentuation to the whole environment, because it's a format channel, so it influences everything. As I said, we have a generator day with a lot of pressure to do and pressure to actually have fun because the moon is in the 58 gate, the driving force, the joyous, the gate of vitality is in the first line, love of life. The moon has its phases, so it's in detriment. It's moods that will limit joy to an intermittent and cyclical experience, a cyclical energy which intermittently fuels the love of life. So cyclically, we are under the pressure to limit the joy, actually. And Then the 60th gate in Pluto, limitation, the gate of acceptance, truth, transformation, and psychology. So there is pressure for the fourth line, resourcefulness, a tendency in times of limitation to seek the inner meaning of the restriction rather than using its gifts to find a harmonic application within the limitation. So the former leads to withdrawal and the latter to transcendence. So we have the pressure to change things. Yet, in order to transcend limitations, you need to first accept them. So there is more or less a dilemma here. The energy is to know rather than accept limitation at the expense of possible mutation, leading to depression. Also, we have it in the detriment. So it's more the energy to know rather than accept limitation. And then change doesn't happen. The third line is actually exalted and detrimented at the same time. So it is juxtaposed. And it's in Venus, so it's about the values and relating and what we find morally acceptable and joyous, like something we not joyous but enjoyable. So it's in the third gate, difficulty at the beginning, the gate of ordering. In the third line, survival, the ability to recognize and distinguish between fertile and sterile in their various manifestations. In reproduction, the ability to choose the best mate, an innate knowing of what is sterile and what is fertile, where the mutation is specifically biological and dependent on collaboration with others. And the other side, the perverse denial of evolutionary standards, an innate contrariness, which refuses to mutate. So it's like a contradiction, innate contradiction, contrariness, which refuses to mutate. So you see, it's a heavy survival mode. Difficulty at the beginning, but possibility to distinguish between fertile and sterile in their various manifestations, and that's very exalted and very detrimental. So it's both are very strong right now in the air, and they will actually continue to be until Saturday. So that's something we are going to be hearing on the news and seeing around us. This heavy melancholic, mutative, yet it can be empowering energy. Then let's go to the sun, because that's 70% of what's going on. So it's in the 36th gate, the darkening of the light, the gate of crisis, in the third line, transition, the point at which decline has exhausted its power, the ability to establish a new order out of the ashes of the old, the emotional depth to endure crisis and embrace change. Nice. This morning I saw the most beautiful sunrise, and it was so dramatic, and I wrote a little poem, and it was about the fire in the skies, and the association was with the firebird, the phoenix, and here we see some a new order coming out of the ashes of the old. So I was really picking up this energy in my poem today. The emotional depth to endure crisis and embrace change. And the other side, the detriment, the tendency in renewal to try to assimilate the remains of the old order into the new, with the risk that it may rise against the new order once it has regained its strengths. The embrace of the change, but with feelings that will not let go of the past. So very clearly, we can actually experience this line transition. And if we tune in to that, actually, it is exactly what Neptune is for the next 2 years. for 3 years, since last year till 2025. So this is the exact energy, darkening of the light, crisis which is behind veil, and we will not know those crises which happened actually under our nose, or maybe the extent of them, or basically the darkness before the light, before the progress, before knowing is not knowing and experiencing, and the experiential way. So you have to, it's a collective channel, gate, part of the channel of transitoriness, jack of all trades. So it is a very emotionally charged energy. It's part of the stream of feeling, awareness and power to release a feeling or not. We have in the 36 gate crisis, which might lead to change, 35 gate, a manifestation of a feeling or not. So we have the awareness and power to release a feeling and manifestation. So that's not available. Although it was actually available till yeah, very recently. We had the 35th gate defined. I don't see it now, but it doesn't matter. It's 3 times the in the sun, as I said, Pluto, and both in third line, and also we have the 36th in first line resistance, the energy and determination to persevere. Oh, sorry, to persevere in the face of opposition, the emotional power to handle crisis. And that's what we want to communicate, and that's what we're thinking about. It's activated by Mercury. An over-principled resistance that, rather than being selective in resistance and thus less at risk, will maintain normal patterns and incur opposition. A resistance to change that will always bring crisis. So the energy of crisis is in the air, but we don't have to live through it, guys, because we have our strategy and authority, and this is just the background frequency. Everybody's going to live through that though, but there can be something for us to expand and to grow and to maybe some crises which are healthy for us, or not. You don't have to live the background frequency. There can be nothing there for you. It's up to your strategy and authority, which is your most reliable source of navigation system. What is for you and what is not for you. Then we have in the first line, the over-principled resistance rather than being selective in resistance and thus less at risk. And the detriment, an over-principled resistance that, rather than being selective in resistance and thus less at risk, will maintain normal patterns and incur opposition. A resistance to change that will always bring crisis. So this is what we're going to be talking about. And all of this will be with the notes in the 27th and 28th gate. The gate of nourishment with trial and error, the gate of caring in the line of greed, the obsession with having much more than one needs. Here, the psychological manifestation, the obsession and dependency on knowing with what is hidden, the secret policeman, and the lust for power to get more than one needs. That's in the background frequency conditioning we get from the whole stellar system. And we have the preponderance of the great, the gate of the game player. In the third line, adventurism, unfounded risk-taking, a basic conservatism that even in adventurous acts is necessarily prudent, an intuitive caution in risk-taking in times of struggle. And the other side, here a perverse manifestation of Jupiter's expansiveness, where risk-taking is rationalized and failure ensured. Intuitive rationalizing of risk-taking in times of struggle. And so wanting to risk, unfounded risk-taking, or not taking the risk, and greed, needing more, wanting to transition, to try something new. It's part of the stream of feeling, so looking to release the feeling or not, so looking for change, looking for something new. And all of these garnished with being grounded in the gate of conflict, the gate of friction. In the third line, allegiance. So we have a lot of third lines. The ability to secure support and create strength out of a weak position. When connected to the harmonic gate 59 mating, that results in conception. And the other side, the destruction of old forms through union, either mundane as above, sexual union, or exalted as universalization. The depth of feelings that can enrich union and intimacy. Or the other side, the detriment, the rejection of allegiance as submission to established order, sensitivity to controls which may eventually reject intimacy. So here we have the sixth gate. It's about the pH balance in the body. It's whether we're open or not. Part of the channel of intimacy, the channel of dispersion. Sorry, the channel of sexual energy, channel of mating. When connected to the gate of dispersion in the sacral center. So it is about being open or not, and for intimacy and friction and conflict at the same time are the potential also for pleasure. Friction brings us pleasure. So this is where we're grounded in the third line, allegiance, where we get the balance for this critical crisis energy. And if we look at the mandala, we have initiation and duality. So it's about purpose through mind, and mind is emotional, and purpose through relationships. And then the moon moved to the second line, by the way, in the meantime, to the second line, perversion, a genius for perverse stimulation that afflicts oneself and others by promoting degeneracy and reducing joy to indulgence and decadence, the energy which fuels the drive for perverse stimulation. This is the driving force, what we're thinking about. Or not us, but that's the energy for thinking. Then we have Mars, which is the immature energy in standstill, the gate of caution. Fourth line, the prophet, the ability to foresee and plan for the end of standstill. The arousing, and remember we have 360, the channel of mutations, which definitely is looking for something new to get out of the stagnation. So here we have the end of standstill. So another, and it's a manifester, part of a manifester channel in the throat. It's a primary action gate and stop codon, so it's also a full stop. Gate of aloneness. So we have here the energy to want to put the end of the standstill, the rising of the stagnant for communal preparation, the ability to foresee and express the need for social interaction, and an end to caution. Or the other side, the voice in the wilderness, the expressed need for social interaction that fails on deaf ears. So we have also the 55th gate, 12 gate, 360, a lot of individual energy is going on. So predisposition for melancholy, for at the same time individualism, creativeness, empowerment. So we have Jupiter, law and protection in the gate of arousing, the gate of shock in the first line reference, the advantage of the previous crisis experience, the gift of re-examination that is the foundation of preparedness, the power of the ego conditioned by experience, and the other side, a tendency to emotional withdrawal after a shock, the weakness of the ego in times of challenge. So on one hand, we have the ability to embrace change and emotional depth to endure crisis, but on the other hand, we have the weakness of the ego in times of challenge, or the power of the ego conditioned by the experience, depending which introspective investigative side will be provoked in the law and protection. And then we have Saturn, the discipline and limitation, what disciplines us and puts us in the abundance of the right spirit, looking for the right spirit. First line, cooperation, the expansion of activity through cooperation with powerful forces through principled actions that guarantee continued support and engender prosperity, the potential to find the spirit through cooperation with powerful forces. Or the other side, the concentration on harmonic relationships with powerful forces that provide continuity, but not necessarily advancement. So we're going to be limited and restricted in cooperation when we're not following our strategy and authority. So again, emotionally charged possibility here. Then we have the Uranus and Uranus, chaos and innovation in the second line, the receptive, the gate of direction of the self. Fourth line, secretiveness. More than modesty, the ability to preserve harmony through discretion. The higher goal transcends personal acclaim. The team player acknowledged as the leader, but never the captain, where higher knowing does not have to be expressed to be recognized. And the other side, the loose lips sink ships. The unquenchable fire of the ego engenders enmity. The inability to keep silent when the opportunity arises for expression. And this is the direction. So discretion or no discretion, it's both the possibilities, but loose lips sink ships. So discretion can be quite important. And we have also standstill, the 12 gate, so which is also to see when to be socially active or not, socially expressive or not, silent or open or not, or closed. And we have also the 6th gate, which is also open and closed. So it's genetic continuity we can see in the whole transit field. So it's quite an interesting moment in time, which will continue, as we said, till Saturday. Started already on Monday, so the whole week is very powerfully charged with emotional energy, crisis, conflicts, looking for the right spirit. Basically, it's harmonic to the provocation, so provoking the right spirit. Mutative energy, a lot of individual, as we said, activations, so prone to melancholy and expressing individuality and being freakish, strange, different, etc. This is the transit field, and those are the background frequencies which rule what's going on around us. If we watch the news, if we see what people are talking about, what are the main themes, you will see those thematics in the air. You will see them hanging and you can hear them. But of course, it's not something you have to go through. It's something that it's in the air, but you don't need to be, as I say, puppet on strings, because you have your own individual strategy and authority, which guides you on the least resistance path. I would be glad if this was useful for you to be prepared and informed of what is going on around you, so you can take informed decisions with your strategy and authority. Of course, you don't need to know the transit field anyways, but it's good to also know what's going on. So be aware if you have the open root or open sacral center, so that you're not too much in a hurry, stressed, with adrenaline energy and not knowing when to stop and when enough is enough. Well, this is Veronica from Human Design Journey, and you, fellow traveler, have your own strategy and authority to navigate this journey of yours. Speak to you soon and enjoy the ride. Love yourselves, guys. Bye for now.